Hello, Evan.
Hi Petra, how are you?
I'm finding you.
Yeah, I'm good. It's so good to see you again.
Yes, good to see you too.
Been a
So,
while.
wow, it's been such a long time.
I know.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so how are you doing? Have you been in lockdown there in Scotland the whole time?
Yeah, so we've been in lockdown. Well, it started off in March, so about a year ago. And obviously it was all the unknown, so no one really knew what the
Mm.
pandemic really was or how bad Corona would be. So it was initially we would have 2 weeks off of work. Well, the government sorted out and obviously a year later the 2 weeks is kind of extended.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been quite a while.
Mm.
But so from about March to July is all just stay at home and keep
Mm.
everyone safe. So we were doing Zoom classes. I was doing it in my living room on my floor and everything. So at
Mm.
least they're like keeping it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I initially everybody says that that initial phase was almost like, or the that they thought, well, we'll just have a little break. Did you also feel that way?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. The first, I'd say even 3 months of the lockdown, obviously the pandemic aside, just talking about me personally,
Yeah.
I quite enjoyed the time off because ever since I started dancing, I've never had that much time to let my body recover physically and mentally. Um, and obviously, when something has been taken away from you, that's your life kind of revolves around in a way. Because you put so much of yourself into it, it made me kind of reassess what's important in my life because that's always been a distraction or something I've always been working towards. So I was really enlightening, and I actually quite enjoyed it.
Mm.
So
Yeah, that's what a lot of people say as well, that sort of that time that you can reflect and can think about uh, also what you are doing and
yeah,
where you're going to, and also
yeah,
that realization that really what you're doing is really what you want to do. That's,
yeah,
I think,
exactly.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Also, feels like dances, and I'm not going to be a dancer forever.
Mm.
Yeah, like I said, it was good to kind of reassess my life and kind of think about what I want to do after. Because when it's taken away from you, you're forced to think
Yeah.
what else, what I want to do, or what else could I do, or what interests me. So
Mm.
yeah, great. I learned a lot about myself, which I didn't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. Yeah, it's kind of this I don't know, I see it almost as if the lockdown has given us a bit of freedom,
Yeah,
to do different things and to think about and have to this freedom of time that we normally don't have. Because, and of course, in your careers, it's been since training, since you
yeah.
were young, it's been full on. Yeah.
Yeah. Haven't had a lot of
Mm,
that time off really ever.
yeah.
Maximum a month.
I think I wonder if if you can tell me if this is the right idea that I have, that ballet is such a short career. If you look at any other career, it's really a short time that you have to dance, and you although you start at a very young age, your actual time where you dance is not that long.
Yeah,
And it's almost as if it's the urgency of using the time, as if every year is really important.
yeah,
So this standstill, I can imagine that this standstill suddenly, would bring you to a halt, and also in your mind about the your career.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting question because, like you said, the actual performance side of our career is actually quite short because half of it is spent training for what you want to do. And in some ways, it's basically been a year taken away from the career, which is devastating when you think about it in that way. Like I was saying before, it made me kind of think about what I'd want to do if I wasn't a dancer.
Mm.
Because anything can get taken away from you in an instant, obviously, as we've seen in the past year. So it's like, what would I want to do? Where do I want to be? Yeah, that.
Mm. That yeah. And then oh, you said you did Zoom classes, but of course, Zoom and doing ballet in your living room or in your kitchen is not the same.
Not quite the same.
Yeah.
At the beginning, when we first started to do it, it was actually because we had about 2 months of not doing anything.
Mm.
No one knew what was going on, and then yeah, Scottish Ballet held Zoom classes for the company. So the first couple of weeks was actually quite nice because even though it was over Zoom and virtual, I saw everyone and we felt like we were together
Oh, yeah.
again.
Mm.
It's like a sense of community. But then the novelty kind of wore off from that for me anyway. And then I'll be doing a bar, holding onto my fireplace mantelpiece. And I was like, when will this end?
Mm.
Like I'm
Yeah.
kind of a bit over it now. Like, will things go back to normal? Will I ever be on stage again? Because the arts took a big hit all over the world.
Mm.
So all those questions kind of started to go through my head. So yeah,
Mm. I can
back in
imagine. Yeah, because it's also this this, like you say, this community feel between dancers. You're so since you trained, you always together, and it's always this bouncing off each other and this energy between you. You know, I think I've always thought about this. You know, how close dancers really are. You know,
yeah,
physically. I don't think you get another. Career or another art form where this closeness is so important, but also so natural, you know.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. No, because well, I was actually laughing with someone about it at work the other day. I saw someone walk into the studio, and I could just tell by the way they were walking. I was like, something's up, or you're tired, or
Mm.
there's something on your mind, just by the way they were holding. But just because I'm so used to seeing their body all day, every day, and you just kind of it connects you on a different level. It's
Yeah.
the same at school as well, because obviously in your year for 3 years, well, I was, and you're around each other all the time, like
Mm.
emotionally and physically and mentally, it just connects you on a different level, which I love.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you
Yeah.
can also use that to help yourself as well. So if you're not in the best mood or something's getting you down, and then you see someone's positive energy, you can use that to refuel you. So it
Mm.
works either way. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, that is also something, you know, we talk about all these, everybody in every walk of life have been affected
Yeah.
by this pandemic, but we always think of the work situation or the restaurants that's closed or the theaters closed, but then we don't think of these tiny little things that actually affects the person or the artist, you know, that they, so for instance the dancers, that you know it's the studio they can't practice, so many things is a bit different. So when you have an instrument, you can still practice it at home,
Yeah.
although you can't perform, which is sad. But for the dancers, there's all these things that I think about that really must affect you also mentally, you
Yeah.
know.
I think from me and what I've heard a lot of dancers say in a lot of discussions, the mental side of it's been probably the biggest challenge, because like when you're in the studio and dancing is mental stimulation, and
Yeah.
you're picking up exercises, so it's just your brain so used to working one way. And even when we were doing Zoom classes in my living room, I couldn't jump because I'm on the second floor of a really quite old building, so the floor would be shaking, and I can't do that to my neighbor. So I couldn't do my job or train properly, and mentally that took a hit on me as well.
Mm.
Um, but I think it's been so good that a lot of people have been so open about it, because until
Yes.
someone says that, you think you're the only one, and you're like, oh
Mm.
no, don't get down about it. Everyone's in the same situation. Yeah, all the
Yeah.
forum discussions, it makes you like, no, I'm not the only person in this. Like
Mm.
everyone is, but
Yeah.
the dancer side as well, because it's just so much was taken away. and there's so much that we couldn't do. So that really
Yeah.
helped.
Yeah, I think so. And this is also why I'm doing these talks, is so that people can speak and it, you know, tell. And as I say, everybody's had this well, these differences in the stories, but the feeling is almost the same, you know, for the artists, that it's this thing, this you know, you want to perform and you want to do this thing, and it's sort of this this blockage that's there.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's
Mm,
so true. And it made me realize just how much I really want to do it as well,
mm,
and how much it does
mm,
mean to me.
mm,
Which is, it was actually really good to renew that, because I always
mm,
knew it, obviously, because I do it, and I would have stopped if I didn't want to. But just having that time to be like, no, this is actually what I really want to do, and I'm really passionate about it, and I'm still so passionate after all these years. So that's
mm.
like I try to get the positives out of lockdown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But tell me, you in during or after the summer, did you have a few performances before the second lockdown came?
Yeah, so our summer ended in like July, and we were allowed to go back into the studio, but the company was split into two groups for social distancing. So one group would be in the morning and the other one would be in the afternoon. And the first couple of weeks was just class to get us back to where we were before and make sure injuries didn't happen. And it was still a bit unknown because back then as well, the virus had kind of settled down. So it looked like it was going.
Mm,
So we had a few things lined up that we thought we were going to do, and we do a massive winter tour. That's our biggest seller of the year. So we were working towards that and had that at like end goal. And then obviously things took a turn for the worse, and
mm.
everything shut down once again. But we Scottish Ballet managed to do a feature film instead of touring. We
Oh,
filmed the
mm,
Nutcracker and Snow Queen as kind of like a combined effort. So
mm,
even though it wasn't a live show of what we really wanted to do, what we're used to, it was still something. And we filmed a ballet, and we still got to dance and work
mm.
together.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um,
And did you also find that the feeling of not having the audience, could you sense that in a way, you know, that it, can you
yeah,
feel the difference?
I personally, yeah, 100%. There's
Mm,
nothing like, and I'm sure any dancer or any performer can say this, there's nothing like dancing to a live
mm.
audience, getting the feedback, like the claps, or maybe not
Yeah,
the claps. I don't know, whatever it is.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
When you're
Just
doing it
that
on,
energy. Yeah.
yeah, the
Mm,
energy, exactly.
yeah.
Whereas doing film, which was, it was amazing that we got to do it, and we still got to do our job and dance. Something was still missing a little bit.
Mm,
But the
yeah.
energy, like you said, that sums it up perfectly.
Mm. How did you find, as the lockdowns went on, did you find it more difficult, or was it then every time they announced there's another lockdown, could you almost get over it quickly?
Yeah, so when we came back in July, and it was all going well, and then they kind of announced, well, in Scotland anyway, kind of the restrictions decreased before they announced the lockdown, so everyone knew it was coming. So it's like we had all this freedom, and then it was just gone. So around end of November, December,
Mm.
and then when we came back after Christmas, and they said we're in this for the long run, I found, me personally, the last couple of months the hardest actually. Um, just obviously the winter doesn't help.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And knowing, because obviously the vaccinations and everything was happening, and knowing that is a end goal, we didn't know how long it would take,
Mm.
how long it would be like this. And I obviously have family and friends in Australia,
Oh
and
yeah, no, of course. Yeah. Mm.
and I was like, just little things that I was
Mm.
doing quite well at blocking out before were creeping in. It's like,
Oh,
oh
I
well,
see.
when will I get to see my friends and family in Australia? When will I get to see my friends in Europe? You know,
Mm.
just even down in England, because you know a lot of cross borders now. So the past couple of months have been the hardest for me.
Mm.
Um, they've announced an easing of restrictions and a way out of lockdown. So that's helped a lot.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is the thing, and it's always also the fact that it was Christmas, and I
Yeah.
think, yeah, the weather, but also this long period of and maybe every time you have the hope that it will change, and then it not, and then there's hope again. Yeah, and not.
Yeah, just the constant knocking down, and my
Yeah,
resilience
yeah, yeah,
kind of broke down after a while, or was starting to.
yeah.
Yeah, but it looks like it's going well so far. So
Oh, okay. Um, but Evan, do you think if you think now about everything that's been said about the arts, and the fact that, you know, many artists feel that the theatre should be opened, and that theatres also take a lot of precautions, and I think there at the ballet, even, you know, the ballet companies, they take a lot of precautions. The dancers are very cautious of you know, not spreading,
yeah,
and the rules and all the regulations. But do you think maybe there's this feeling that the arts are not valued, or that artists are not valued?
I think there was
Mm.
when this all first started, because I feel like the arts were just forgotten about, and they were talking about um, football stadiums coming back, and that was and cinemas, like that
Mm.
was their priority. And then you're kind of like, well, what about us? Like,
Mm.
we're in that category too. But then as time went on, I think a lot of people realize how important the arts actually are, and how big a part it plays in everyone's life. So I
Yeah.
think at the beginning it wasn't great, but now everyone's a lot more aware of it and actually appreciate it so much more, from
Mm.
what I've heard and read and everything. So hopefully when we do come back, it'll be a lot more supported and a lot more appreciated. But I definitely don't think it was before, as much as it should be, and as much
Mm.
as dancers or any type of performer puts into it, have so much of their soul and of themselves.
Mm.
Yeah, hopefully it'll turn a new leaf.
Well, I've been talking a lot about this because of course, you get this feeling, or this idea, that because the you know, there's seem to be no solution for the theaters to open, but maybe it could be that it's not, you know, that it's not that the arts, or you know, that the arts are not that valued, but that it is seen as entertainment, and therefore it's not, you know, it's seen as, oh, it's our free time, it's for free time, or it's for entertainment, so we will not invest money, or we will not, that would not be the priority. So business would be the priority, but the arts is just for entertainment. So let's see what we can get the economy running.
Yeah,
And maybe, yeah, maybe that you know, is also a factor to take into consideration, because if this is the perception of art, that it's just entertainment, then of course for the artists it's their jobs. You know, it's not just for them entertainment. It's not as if it's their free time and they just, you know, can live from the enjoyment of it. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. No, I haven't actually thought about it that way before, but that's 100% true. Um, yeah, there was an advert in the UK when the pandemic first started, and I forget exactly what it said, but basically it was like you can retrain
Mm.
from the arts into a proper job.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I know that like circulated around the internet, and I think that kind of sparked a flame,
Mm.
um, and made the politicians and just the general public realize that it's not just entertainment, that how
Mm.
much of a artist puts into their work.
Mm.
It's not like we wake up at 5, do a show at 7, and then that's our lives. They
Yeah.
realize how much effort goes into one production or one
Mm.
performance. So it's just, I think it's just all awareness. If you're not in the arts, you don't really know what's
Mm.
into it or how much effort. So hopefully it's just this will educate people.
Yeah, I think, and also I think there are different audiences, because I think the people who are really interested in ballet, for example, know a little bit more than
Yeah,
people who are just don't have a clue, you know. So it's also this divide that there is, that you know that there are people who just have never been to the ballet, have no idea. They have a little bit of a perception that they've maybe
yeah,
seen on a film, or you know, this old cliche about ballet and men who
yeah,
do ballet and so on.
yeah,
But I'm talking about to everybody about the education of we should not educate children um, in art, and that we make art as an important subject as maths and science in a school, so
yeah,
that we for many reasons, but you know, also that we give children this opportunity to learn the arts, and also to express themselves, but also to have knowledge and an insight into art, you know,
yeah,
so that when they grow up and they don't necessarily become the ballet dancers, that they understand a little bit more
yeah,
about dance and so on.
yeah. 100% agree with you. When I was at
Mm.
school, in primary school, we used to have a subject called dance and drama. It
Mm.
happened once a week or twice a week. It wasn't a lot, but it was still something. And
Mm.
then that sparked something in me. That that's what I was really interested in. And the people who didn't spark something in it, like you said, educated them.
Yeah.
So they learned more about it.
Mm.
Um, and there's so 99% sure there's so many people and children around the world that just need that spark
Mm.
and get educated in it, and then they'll just be so much more interested in it and
Yeah.
so much more aware, or they'll want to get involved.
Yeah.
I think this is where the internet is an amazing thing as well, because we've managed to do a lot of online, like a lot of filming, and put it online,
Mm.
and you do it on our homepage. So it's more available
Mm.
than live shows. So more people can see it, and hopefully that will spark something. Someone will just be on YouTube one day and it'll be a recommended video, and they could click on it and
Oh
be like,
yeah.
I absolutely love
Mm.
that. And then they'll get
Mm.
into it that way. So there's a lot more different levels you can reach it on now.
Exactly. Yeah. I didn't think about that, but that's true. You know, if you post these things, but also I wonder if the connection, if there could be a better connection between artists and the public, so that, you know, artists talk more about the art, and also talk more about the process,
Mm-hmm.
talk about how they became artists. Like you said, it sparked something in you at school age, you know,
Yeah.
and somebody told me the other day that he became a cellist because the first time he saw a cello was during a science experiment,
No
and he
way.
was 4 years old. Yeah, and they used a cello to do a science experiment. And it's interesting for me, everybody, how did they start? What was that thing that you know, made the spark? So and I think if we talk about that more also, then that could also be an inspiration for children, or people who would like to pursue a
Yeah.
career in art, that they see, well, it is possible, you know.
Yeah.
And if you have a misconception and you don't know that you can actually make a living off that, you
Yeah.
know. So, but
Yeah.
how did you start? You said that it was in school. So how did you start it? Yeah.
I started like in, say, like kindergarten, so like year 5, and it
Yeah.
was just, running around the room, dancing as kids do,
Yeah.
because it's just all about development. But that just sparked something in me. And then I did gymnastics when I was around 7, and I loved that. But then my coach was like, maybe he should try and go into more dance art form, because I can just see it more in him. And then it was actually my mum's one of her best friends, and she's a ballet enthusiast. She loves ballet.
Mm.
And then she kind of saw me at school, and she knew how much I loved it. And then she said to my mum, I'll do it. I'll sign him up to this ballet school. They do jazz, tap, modern, contemporary, like a whole wide range of things, but I'll do it all. And my mum, just because she's never been in the art
Yeah,
world,
yeah.
she's like, oh, sure, like, okay, that's new. So I went, and I don't know what it was, but something about ballet just clicked. I don't know how to explain it. I just fell in love with it, and I just got it. You know, so that's when, I was around 8.
Yeah, and this is also something, you know, sometimes it's people, some artists come from a family where nobody did, you know, music, or so you said your mum didn't really know, but still there was somebody on your path that could, you know, that could start this for you, or take you in that direction. Who was your first ballet teacher?
Her name was Tanya Pearson. It was her school, it's the Tanya Pearson Classical Coaching Academy, and she actually passed away about 3 months ago, unfortunately.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's fine. She was an amazing woman, but so I went to her school, and she just kind of nurtured me from the moment go. So obviously I think she saw some talent as well, and then she was just so supportive, and she was the one that was like, if you want to do it, you can. And I think she also educated like my parents more on it, like, you know, you can make a living at, like, this is how it works, type of thing. So it takes one person to kind of totally open your eyes to a new avenue, just not because you don't want to, but just because it's never been available, it's never been in your path in life. Tanya Pearson.
I think these teachers, you know, this is why I always ask people to name the teacher, because I think it's important as well, because the teachers are really the people who inspire and who taught and who created this love for the art. And you hear always artists talk about their teachers, and and even now you have many artists who tell how their teachers now motivated them, you know, or so it's in these times. So I think teachers are very important for artists. Yeah, definitely.
Plays a massive part
in
your career or your path or your life, in my opinion anyway.
Evan, did you do something interesting in lockdown? Did you what did you do except for Zoom classes and stretching?
I tried to do different things, because for years, and it was actually like a joke at school, I always wanted to learn French. I've always had like a
okay.
but obviously I just never got around to it. And then you know, you can get so many apps, and I was like, well, just try. So I actually learned quite a bit for me. Well, I thought so. And then I try to read a lot more. And actually, one thing I'm really happy with is it made me reconnect with a lot of people as well.
Oh, yes.
Obviously, everyone was on hold, so everyone was available to talk, and I've been obviously keeping in contact with people throughout my life, but it's always been words here and there, just because life gets busy. It's like no one's fault. It just happens.
Yeah.
But I felt like I've really reconnected with a lot of people that I kind of lost that connection with.
Mm.
That's been really nice. It's been really, and I've, yeah.
I think that's great that we could do that, you know, that we could go online and talk, and as I say, this is what this time has given us, this, even though we were locked down, but we had connections, you know, we
Yeah.
could, like you say, and this wonderful tool that we have, Zoom.
Yeah.
Isn't it great?
Send it. God send. It's helped me so much.
My goodness, Evan, I saw you the last time at the graduation, I think, at the Royal Ballet School. Yeah,
8 years
probably.
ago. Yeah.
Yeah, it was such a long time ago. And here we are on Zoom now.
Yeah.
Um, but oh, also what I wanted to ask you was, I heard that the Scottish Ballet have the outreach or not an outreach program, but a program that they do with children at schools.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
found that wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah. The
Mm,
Scottish Ballet is like amazing at. It's kind of what we were going on about. They go to uh, high schools and primary schools, and a lot of schools in the Highlands and Islands, which are quite hard to get to, and would most probably not get to be involved as
mm,
much as mainland schools. And just like what you're saying, educate them in dance or the arts, give them classes.
mm,
Um, there was a Safe to Be Me campaign talking, like just like talking about the LGBTQ community and just
mm.
opening eyes up towards that. Um, and there's
Amazing.
so many things, and it's amazing. It's just like what you're saying. People just need to be uh, introduced to it,
Yeah.
and since they've been doing that, we've noticed a lot more different age groups coming to see the ballet.
Really. Mm,
Someone
mm,
said something about it, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, I'll give it a go," and then they might
mm.
hate it or they might absolutely love it. But at
Yeah.
least giving it a go.
Mm.
Yeah,
This is fascinating. This is really, yeah, what I think uh, is great, and to also this the fact that they reach out to children,
mm.
or you know, groups of children at where the small towns and where children can't be in a big city, because I lived I lived in an industrial town in South Africa, and this was, okay, I'm talking about many years ago, but we didn't have a big theater, you know, we had a hall, and there were not many opportunities like that. So I think really it's great, and I think in America it's the same thing. It's probably in Australia as well, where
Yeah,
it's these big countries where towns are so far apart, and then how do these people and how do these children get to see these things and get in
yeah,
contact? Mm,
yeah. We did a, 'cause every 2 or 3 years we go to the Highlands and Islands and put on shows. But about
mm,
2 years ago, we said we're going to do a full scale ballet for them. So
mm.
we were dancing in school halls and
Oh, wow. Mm,
stages that we weren't used to, or like a theatre. But we did it so their community could experience of what people in Glasgow or Edinburgh would experience.
mm.
That thing's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was the reaction of the children? I think that must have been great. Mm.
It was, yeah, some of them really funny, their
Mm.
reactions.
Yeah, yeah.
I just love how honest children can be.
Mm.
But it's just so lovely. Even the reactions where some of the boys, the young boys, were like, "I hate ballet," and you're like, "Well, at least you've seen it. At least you can like pass a fair judgment on." You
Yeah.
Or there'll be the total opposite. A lot of boys will be like, "I didn't realize ballet was like that.
Mm.
Like, I didn't realize men could be men." You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
and
yeah.
So yeah, it was amazing.
That's so
It makes
wonderful.
my trip a lot more worthwhile as well. It's like opens
Yeah,
up an avenue I didn't think was possible.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this is so wonderful. But Evan, last question. What is your wish for when this is all over?
Oh, that's a hard question. There's so many.
Okay.
My wish is to travel and see my family and friends that I haven't been able to. I think that's the main one. And even if it sounds so corny or whatever, but just give them a hug.
Now it's important. It's
Yeah.
it's very important in Australia, and yeah, your family in Australia.
Yeah, Australia or just even friends in Europe. It's so close, but obviously it's not been allowed. So yeah, just see them and reconnect with them in person. Just have that physical contact of like a friendly hug.
Yeah, I think we all wish also we could hug again.
Yeah.
Just hug people.
And not let it be a thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like it's going on the right track. So fingers crossed.
Hopefully, yeah. But it was so lovely to talk to you.
Yeah, you
And
also.
yeah, and so wonderful to hear about your lockdown and your all these experiences of yours. And when I post it, then I will. But I'll send you the link as well.
Awesome. Thank
So
you so
you
much.
can send it to your lovely mum.
Oh yeah, she'll be crying.
Okay, Evan, have a lovely evening.
Yeah, you too. It's so good to speak to you.
Nice to speak to you too. Okay, bye. Bye.